When we think about investing, our minds usually jump to stock tickers, flashing charts, a whole world of abstract numbers on a screen. But today, we're going to talk about an asset class that is as real and as tangible as it gets. We're talking about forestry, where your investment, and this is the cool part, literally grows from the ground up. So let me just ask you this straight up. Are you looking for an investment that has the potential for steady biological growth? Something that's kind of insulated from all the day-to-day noise of the financial markets? If the answer is yes, then you might find the unique proposition of forestry really, really interesting. So let's dive into this a little bit. On one side, you've got your stocks. They're digital. They're super fast-paced, and man, can they be volatile. But on the other side, you have timberland. It's a physical, long-term asset. And here's the crucial part. It has historically shown a very low correlation with the stock market. Now, what that really means is, when the stock market is having a terrible day, your forest investment isn't necessarily getting dragged down with it. That makes it a powerful diversification tool for pretty much any portfolio. Okay, so the concept sounds cool, right? But what do the numbers actually say? Let's take a look at the hard data and really explore the financial case for forestry as a serious, heavy-hitting asset class. And wow, this chart right here, it tells a really compelling story. If you look at the 5-year period that ended in the first quarter of 2025, U.S. timberland has just flat out outperformed other major real assets. Its total annual return, as you can see, stands taller than both commercial real estate and farmland. It's been a top performer in its category. And believe me, this isn't just some recent fluke. This quote from the legendary investor Jeremy Grantham really highlights a core strength of timber. For more than a century, its value has consistently beaten inflation by about 3%. What that really means is it's not just about your money growing. It's about preserving and actually increasing your buying power over the long, long haul. It makes sense, right? Timber is a fundamental, real good. As the economy grows, the demand for wood grows, and that helps keep its value climbing ahead of inflation. So to kind of sum up the financial argument, timberland brings these key things to the table. First, it diversifies your portfolio because it just moves to a completely different rhythm than the stock market. Second, it gives you a natural hedge against inflation. And third, it can generate stable, secure cash flow from timber harvests. It's really a unique combo of stability and growth. All right, so that pretty much covers the why of investing in forestry. But now, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the how. How does a person actually invest in a forest and, what does that whole process even look like? Well, for most large-scale investors, the gateway is through something called a TIMO. That stands for Timber Investment Management Organization. Honestly, the easiest way to think about them is as specialized fund managers. But for forests, they handle the whole shebang, from finding and buying properties to managing them for the best possible returns. They make this whole asset class accessible. So where does the money, the return, actually come from? Well, it's really a two-part story. First up, you have income. This is the cash flow you get from selling timber. It can be pretty steady. And second, there's appreciation. This comes from two places: the biological growth of the trees themselves. They literally get bigger and more valuable every single year. And of course, the rising value of the land they're sitting on. But in today's world, investing is about so much more than just the bottom line. Modern forestry investment actually has this powerful dual purpose, letting you align your financial goals with some really significant environmental and social benefits. And hey, this isn't just some feel-good talk. The industry is actually getting way more sophisticated about tracking these positive effects. There's an organization called the Global Impact Investing Network, or GIIN, and they've just launched a new benchmark specifically for forestry. This tool lets investors actually measure and compare the environmental and social impact of their investments so they can see how they really stack up. So what kind of impact are we talking about here exactly? Well, forestry investments directly support several of the UN's big sustainable development goals. The top 3 are Goal 15, which is life on land through conservation and sustainable management. Then there's Goal 13, climate action, because let's face it, forests are massive carbon sinks. And finally, Goal 8, which is decent work and economic growth, because this industry creates real jobs in rural communities. All right, we've hit the why, the how, and the impact. So, what's next? Where is all of this headed? Let's look at what the current market trends might be telling us about the future of timberland investing. This chart is fascinating because it shows the cyclical nature of this asset class. If you look at it historically, timberland returns tend to shift between two phases. Periods where returns are led by the land value going up, that's appreciation, and periods where the returns are led by income from selling the timber. And after a long cycle that was driven by appreciation, historical patterns suggest we might be entering a brand new phase where income becomes the main driver of returns. So, what could possibly drive that income growth? Well, there are a few huge economic forces lining up right now. For one, the US is facing a major housing shortage, which means a sustained demand for lumber. At the same time, Canada's timber supply is actually shrinking. And to meet all that demand, sawmill capacity, especially in the US South, is expanding like crazy, creating these really strong local markets for timber. Now, check this out. Let's talk about relative value for a second. This chart shows that since the financial crisis back in 2009, timberland's price growth has actually been way more modest compared to other real assets. I mean, while farmland and real estate values have just soared, timberland's rise has been much less steep. And for some investors, that gap suggests there could be significant room for future growth. Which really just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world that's filled with digital volatility and all sorts of economic uncertainty, maybe, just maybe, the most resilient and forward-thinking addition to your portfolio isn't something new and complex, but something ancient and simple, an asset that is quietly, patiently, and literally growing in a forest.